What is your best ghost or paranormal experience story? A bit paranormal, perhaps. My grandfather got into the hospital on a Friday night. Nothing too unusual. He wasn't doing good, but he had been there before. The next day, I go to work. I'm somewhat worried, but again, he'd been there before. I go on with my day. There are customers, a friend stops by, and we talk. And I fill the rest of the time with homework. My grandfather is in the back of my mind, but I have other stuff going on. Right around 4 o'clock, I was chatting with a coworker when I glanced at the clock and my stomach dropped. I randomly got filled with dread and profound sadness. I continue chatting, but the feeling persists. I check out at 5, the feeling of gloom persisting, and of course, my brain goes to my grandfather. I just knew. I get home, and my mother tells me my grandfather passed away. I ask around what time? 4 o'clock. I had a similar experience with my aunt. Just a normal day at work, and then I get this overwhelming feeling of dread and anxiety out of nowhere. An hour later, I get a call from my mom letting me know that my aunt had been in a car crash an hour earlier and had died at the scene. I had a similar experience with my great uncle. He was in hospice care in September, and I felt like I should check in with him. Suddenly, one day, I called him and we talked for a while. He passed away the next day. I'm so sorry for your loss. When my grandfather passed away, I was 15 and on the bus home from school. Mind you, I didn't know he had passed away. I just felt an overwhelming sense of sadness and despair, and tears flowed down my face. I was deeply unsettled. Now, moments before, I had just been bobbing along to music the bus driver was playing on her radio. I got off the bus at my stop and my parents were there waiting for me. Usually, I walked home the 2 blocks from my stop, so them being there was unusual. When they saw me in tears, they were alarmed, but I could tell my mom had also been crying. When she told me her dad passed away, I was secretly relieved. The man was a pervert, and I never had a good relationship with him. I think the reason I cried like that was that I somehow tuned into my mom's mood and feelings. That was nearly 30 years ago. When my father in law passed away, I was at work in my cubicle, on the phone with a customer. I started doodling his name randomly. I didn't think anything of it at the time. The customer was droning on and on about their statement when I realized I had written a few lines of a poem long forgotten. And I wonder if life's deep mystery isn't much like the rain and the snow, returning through all eternity to the places it used to know. Just that small excerpt from Heart's Song of the River, a poem I'd always liked. Call ended and I immediately got another call. It was from my sister-in-law telling me to get to my in-laws ASAP because our father-in-law had just passed away from a heart attack. Of course, this all sounds coincidental, but in the moment it was a little unsettling and upsetting. I was at work when my dad died. I felt him rush by me like a wind. Then I had the sensation of a tap on my forehead, as if getting a small kiss, like parents kiss a child goodnight. I knew it was him. I knew he died. I knew he was saying goodbye. I got the call a little while later. This feeling is very common from what I know. I'm surprised there is no word for it in the dictionary. Hey, maybe we should make a word. Sure ben flurken gur ben flaude. English translation, fuck dude. The Redditor was suddenly overwhelmed with fuck dude when he realized he did not clear the search history after he left the library. I feel a disturbance in the force. As if millions of people screamed in agony and suddenly stopped. My mom was in a fatal accident on March 24th, 2019, and in the weeks leading up to it, I dreamed that my teeth were falling out. Also, I had this very persistent feeling that something bad was going to happen. It wasn't fear, just a conscious awareness that my life would change in a bad way and that I should prepare myself mentally. This thought kept coming up where I realized that for 26 years, nothing traumatic ever happened to me and that this easygoing life would end. So I started meditating to find emotional stability, and then Sunday, March 24th, I got the call from my sister that my mom was in critical condition and later that day she died in the hospital. I had something like that happen when a coworker passed. I didn't find out about it until the next day when my boss called. He overdosed. It hit hard. A similar thing happened to me. My aunt was in the hospital, and in the middle of the night, I woke up and sat straight up in bed with the words, "It's over," running through my head. In the morning, my mom came into my room to tell me she had passed. Had a similar issue with my grandfather. He didn't go to the hospital, just died of a heart attack in the yard. I called my parents because my premonition panic attack was so strong. Gut reactions are to be trusted. Camping at a friend's family property with a group of friends. They had a huge thingy shop full of old tools and old furniture that was super creepy. Dirt floors, clown paintings in the loft, not even kidding. We stayed up late drinking by the fire and I was the last one awake. Went to go pee on the side of the shop and stood about 5 feet away looking inside through the window. There was a fluorescent light on it and I noticed what looked like a piece of paper or dollar kind of floating around. I thought it was a moth at first, but it was moving in a very flowing figure-eight pattern that was very rhythmic. It reminded me of dangling a carrot. I watched it for maybe 20 seconds, which felt like forever. Then it quickly floated back to the corner of the shop where it was dark. There was also a wood chair near the corner that added to the creepiness. Could have been a moth, though. I sat back down by the fire to finish my beer and have a smoke. No one else was awake, so I played Robot Unicorn Attack 2 on my phone for a while. I noticed my friend Mark pop out of his tent to pee, then go back in to go to sleep. I decided sleep sounded good. So I went to my tent and fell asleep. The next morning, we were having breakfast and Mark said, "I saw you guys sitting by the fire super late. How late did you stay up?" I told him I was probably 2 or 3 a.m. Then he said, "Who was up with you?" I told him I was the last man standing. He said, "I got up to pee and saw you on your phone and 2 people were over your shoulder watching you play." He said one person looked bigger, so he thought it was one of our friends, who was a bigger dude. He said the other person was taller and skinny, but none of us are noticeably tall or skinny. Freaked me out. We still camp at that property once a year, but I don't go into the shop. And I go to sleep whenever my wife decides she's tired. Ghosts just trying to figure out, what the fuck you doing? Ghosts be like, "Man, we died before this came out. We miss video games. Damn, they're lucky." Him to the ghosts. Nah, like that doesn't even matter. The pressures of modern life and a more individually isolated society will corner you into a deep depression where you can't even enjoy video games anymore. You guys think you're ghosts. Wait until you get ghosted by the only 3 girls you match with on the only app that people use to try to find a romantic connection. Other ghosts. Dude, the games aren't even the best part. I've seen them watch pornographic movies on those things. I saw more ankles, breasts, and naughty bits in 1 minute than I saw my entire time living. Ghosts be like, "Y'all got games on your phone?" That's legitimately one of the scariest things I've heard in a long time. Now, when we go there to camp, I tell anyone new that hasn't been there before, tell me when you're ready to hear a scary story. I try to wait until the end of the trip to tell it. If you had told me that, I would have sat in my tent the rest of the night where I can feel some semblance of security that nothing can stand behind me. Imagine seeing that inside the tent though. No thanks. Ghosts be watching you for free. Let's play, lol. I'd be more concerned these were real people. Don't mess with large, quiet folk. Agreed. I don't care how many times something like this is posted, I will always sort through it. And at night before bed, I prefer the middle of the night, 4 a.m. right now. I used to stay up until 3 a.m. and feel like this is way past my bedtime, but now I can read whatever ghost story or watch whatever till 4 a.m. and still sleep fine. Yeah, I'm here too, almost 5 a.m. It is the way. Me too reminds me of being a kid and listening to the adults tell scary stories. It's because it's always anecdotal. People rarely copy and paste like they do in Best Facts or something. If anything, the more people post, the creepier it becomes. This question has been posted so much and it always gets so many replies that you have to ask. Tens of thousands of people on Reddit admit to having a paranormal experience. Even if some of them are making it up, there are thousands of stories out there that the poster believes are real. There's gotta be something to it, right? And that makes it infinitely more fun to read. When my middle child was about 2.5 to 3, we lived on an old house with a lot of poorly built self-done renovations done on it. There was an underhouse storage area / workshop area accessible from one of the bedrooms. This workshop has a hatch door to the dirt under the house. Anyway, my daughter used to complain about the blue lady that lives under the house. We moved and never heard about it again. Ever hear the harmonica at night? Maybe she meant blues lady. Bleeding Gums Susan, best damn blues lady in the Mississippi Delta. No, although our theory was someone drawn on the property. It had a lot of handrails along the exterior and it was built on a steep hill, so I gather the people that renovated it, had mobility issues. Lends to the theory. That is something straight out of a horror movie. Glad you guys moved out. Why did I decide to read this thread before bed? Haha, you fool. The mere idea of going to bed is non-existent to me. It's like 6 a.m. where I'm at. Send caffeine. Purple mommy? I'm not scared. I already woke up. Better than when I read a post about a ghost I was researching that said just thinking about him lets him control you. I know you didn't say whose bedroom it was, but something I never understand about these child seeing a ghost in their room with a creepy trapdoor or closet stories is why the parents don't just switch rooms. If my kid thought there was a monster in their closet, I'd just switch rooms for a week and see for myself. You either prove there isn't or know firsthand why you need to call the priest or real estate agent.